Howdy everybody, my name is Ariam Rashad. Most of you know me as MeTunes, pretty much everywhere on the interwebs. And I'm the director for the Sonic the Hedgehog fan film you know as Sonic Villains. A traditionally animated action-adventure fan film, picking up right after the events of Sonic Forces, where the nefarious Dr. Eggman uses the last of an ever-mysterious gem, the Phantom Ruby, to travel the multiverse and recruit an army of bad guys from across this crazy little thing we call the Sonic franchise, to give his universe's Sonic a fight he will never forget. The villains in no particular order: Shadow the Hedgehog from the Sonic Boom universe, Scourge the Hedgehog and Rosie the Rascal, aka the Anti-Sonic and Amy, along with Naugus the Sorcerer from Archie Comics' Sonic the Hedgehog series, Scratch, Grounder, and Coconuts from the hit 90s cartoon series Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sleet and Dingo, the Bounty Hunters from the musical animated cartoon Sonic Underground, the alien overlord and father to Cosmo the Seedrian, Dark Oak from Sega and TMS Entertainment's Sonic X,
and who could forget the scariest of them all,
Sonic the Hedgehog, who, after exposure to chaos energy and extreme stress, turns into the evil incarnation of Super Sonic from Egmont Fleetway's British Sonic the Comic series, which ran congruently with the American Archie Comics series from 1993 to January 2002, before being officially canceled, then brought back by the fans via Sonic the Comic Online, an unofficially official continuation of the series, with some of the old Fleetway series' artists and writers still contributing to this day. Also, Tails, Doll, and Sonic.exe are in here as well, but don't even worry about it. They're not really important. But I'm sorry, I said bad guys. What the heck is Sarah doing here? You know, Sarah, that half-human, half-cat girl from the Sonic the Hedgehog original video animation. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about her. She's fine. She's fine. She's totally fine. You know, Sarah, come tell the audience you're totally, perfectly, 100% fine.
I am totally, perfectly 100% fine, and am in no way lying to you about being mind-controlled. Pinky promise. Also, you all smell like strawberries.
See? Totally not mind-controlled or anything. Everything's cool. Silly, silly fandom of which I am a part of. Oh, also Chaos is totally fine too. I mean, look at him. Look at him. See? Brain is perfectly intact. Nothing going on in that problem area. So, yeah, combined with 2 other villains not mentioned thus far, that's a lot of villains. 18 of them, in fact. All of them united under Dr. Eggman's primary goal for this film and primary hypothesis. If he can destroy Sonic Prime, then every other universe's Sonic will cease to exist as well, leaving no chance of Sonic ever interfering with his plans ever again. So, yeah, with that out of the way, I just wanted to make a video essentially just kind of breaking down, you know, what this project is for a lot of the newcomers that just showed up, because we just dropped our 30th anniversary teaser trailer and you guys have been nothing but the sweetest little things about it. We can't thank you enough for how much love that trailer's been getting and just how much support has come from that trailer releasing on the day it did. But yeah, I shouted out that if any of you had any particular questions, whether it be for me as a director or for any of our voice casts or for just the general making of Sonic villains as a whole thus far, you know, for these past 2-3 years, you know, let us know and I'll do my best to answer them. And that is exactly what we'll be going through today. So yeah, without further ado, let's go! We'll start with some of the more frequently asked questions, like what's the film's runtime? So the best answer I can give is around an hour and 30 minutes or so. So an hour and a half, typical feature film length stuff. In actuality, we don't really truly know as of right now, because film production is an incredibly mysterious and long, detailed process of things getting cut, of things getting reworked, of things getting shortened and lengthened depending on what the story needs and what these characters need. So it's really a matter of what we personally feel needs to be in the film and what needs to not be in the film. That'll determine the true runtime. Currently in production, we just don't really know at this point in time. But that's the best estimate I could give at the moment. Thank you. What inspired this fan film's creation? How is production going so far, and is everyone having fun? Boy howdy, I sure hope so. But seriously, I really do anything I can to make sure that, my team knows just how much I appreciate them. They'll probably tell you, some of them will probably tell you, I constantly want to thank them for all that they've done in supporting me and just cheering me on, or, just giving me some advice, or giving it their all when it comes to recording, and making sure these characters sound the way that they sound, and making sure the storyboards are as good as they need to be. It's been always a dream of mine, just being a big animation loving nerd, to make a film with a team of people. Like seeing, I'm the kind of kid that used to love going through those documentaries and behind the scenes featurettes from all those Pixar movies, and just being in absolute awe at seeing the creators behind some of my favorite movies just at work, talking about the process and doing this kind of stuff. And it's been such a dream to actually be able to do that with a team as wonderful and as sweet as I've gotten. Meeting these guys has been such an eye-opener to so many other opportunities, and as a vehicle of personal growth for me. Just, I've always been the kind of person who's had a hard time opening up creatively to more than one person. Usually it's usually just been me writing and drawing, plotting out pretty much everything. So the fact that I have people who are willing to work with me on this thing to make it a reality is a big shift for me. So I really want to honor that as best I can. And, I've told my team this as well. I am in no way a perfect director. And so a lot of the times, things can get a little stressful for me personally, but I want to make sure that it's as easy and as fun as possible for everyone else. This thing is filled with so much love, and I just want them to feel that love too, and in any way that I can. So to you guys watching this, anyone on my team, thank you so much. I say this all the time. Thank you for being here, and thank you for helping me make this a reality. So I hope, to answer that one question, I absolutely hope that they're having fun, especially with the Q&As, because those have just been the biggest chance to flesh out the world of this movie in a way that is completely stress-free, plot-wise, because they kind of exist in between spaces from all the action and from all the super intense stuff, and they're just kind of a chance to really let these characters and let the team breathe life into these characters in a way that just feels comfortable for them. The first Q&A especially was sort of acted as sort of a pilot for the writing style that I wanted to go for when it came to, the villains, especially because I was having a hard time really trying to understand their dynamics. So I wanted to kind of put those dynamics that I've had in my head onto pen and paper, and to let the actors finally put their voices to these guys. Because now, thanks to that, and thanks to Ask the Resistance, which is our next Q&A coming up, really, really excited for that one, that I feel so much more confident as a writer, because now I get to hear these people riffing off on my crazy sense of humor and premises, and I'm like, okay, wow, so this actually does work. I'm kind of the director that absolutely loves bloopers. I love bloopers because bloopers give people the chance to remind themselves that this is all fun. At the end of the day, we're playing. No matter what, we're just a bunch of passionate people making a film about a blue hedgehog. So it's been incredibly fun for me, and I hope that it continues to just be fun for them. That's why I love the fact that this film allows for as much comedy as it does action, because I think overall this franchise is pretty crazy, and I feel like if we were to take it 100% seriously, I feel like that would take away a lot of the fun of this concept. There are some aspects of this franchise that are just absolutely bonkers and just weird, and just, some of this stuff needs to be kind of poked fun at, but not in a really harsh, spiteful kind of way, just in a way of, yeah, wow, this is a thing that exists, And that's what I want to do with this film. Part of the inspiration for this film is just me loving everything about this franchise. I am a rare breed of Sonic fan in that I'm a lot more loving towards pretty much every incarnation of Sonic there is. I came in at such a interesting point where Sonic Rush was my first Sonic game. I was looking for something other than Pac-Man to really grab me emotionally, and Sonic Rush was just right there on the GameStop shelves, and I had my DS with me, and I just ran with it. Then after Rush, I essentially grew up in what is supposedly the dark ages of Sonic's history. So I grew up with Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, so a lot of the concept of what was considered a bad game for me just didn't really exist at the time, because I didn't really pay attention to a lot of that sort of stuff until later. So already my taste is completely screwed up. Never mind the fact that I was so in love with, the Archie comics and watching whatever episodes of the cartoons that I could, whether they be through DVD or mostly online. I remember when the Sonic OVA was divided up into like 4 parts, and you had to like scour all of YouTube just to look for the parts you wanted, just to watch the complete film. Yeah, that was confusing. But yeah, I just took in everything because I didn't know where to start. There was no real perfect place to start, so I just kind of absorbed all that I could, and I fell in love with all of it because it was just a completely different world to me that was also right up my alley as a cartoonist and as an artist. So that's why I feel like I've grown so attached to this franchise as I have, and Sonic Villains is basically my way of celebrating every little corner of it in whatever way possible. Even so much as to say that some of those ideas that we all consider kind of bad, I don't know if the ideas themselves are that bad. I personally feel like some characters and some concepts are just a result of poor execution or of really wonky execution rather than just straight out being bad. That's why Elise is still here. That's why we decided to redesign her and give her a new sense of purpose, because she especially is a symbol of that there are no bad ideas for this film. The two worlds concept that mentioned by Iizuka-san pretty frequently as of late, as a sort of an explanation as to why some games take place in more cartoonish animal populated environments versus some games that take place in more hyper-realistic human populated environments. Whether that concept actually holds any real credence is entirely up in the air, but I found it a very interesting concept to at least play around with and experiment with. So we're definitely gonna try and explain that in the best way we can. And spoiler alerts, it's actually a lot simpler than I feel like we kind of give it credit for. I know we haven't seen any of it in the games, which is why it's been so hard for a lot of the fandom to grasp. That's kind of what I want to open up, is the possibility for these stories to make sense, for these stories to have a sense of continuity that some of the fandom may feel like has been lacking as of late. All of this stuff is possible. All of this stuff matters. And it's just a matter of, I hope that, you guys will join me on this journey of finding out kind of how this stuff happens. And I'm very, very happy to see just how much support that we've been getting in regards to that sort of thing. So thank you so much. Outside of my just general love for Sonic, I think one of the things that inspired this fan film in general is just my love for crossovers, man. Crossovers are just so much fun. They're just such a joy. I mean, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, for those old Nickelodeon heads out there, was one of my favorite examples because of how they managed to combine the art styles and sensibilities of these two beloved shows at the time, and just go completely nuts with the concept of crossing over other dimensions, and seeing how these characters interact in each other's worlds and each other's environments, where some characters are completely out of their depth. And I always thought that was just really, really fun. Stuff like TMNT, Turtles Forever, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that movie especially, so we started production in 2018, and of course that movie was on its way out the door, as I was gearing up for it, and I had a feeling in the back of my mind, like, okay, when this movie comes out, this is going to be like one of my main sources of inspiration creatively as far as how to deal with this multiversal concept. And sure enough, it absolutely was, because oh my gosh, it's the best example of a multiversal crossover thing I can probably muster. So, I mean, anybody saying that Sonic Villains reminds them of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or that this is the Sonic equivalent of Spider-Verse for the Sonic franchise, has absolutely, you have my heart. Thank you so much, because that is very much basically what we're going for. Just in a very Sonic-y way. Another thing too is that I've always been the kind of fan that, because I've grown up with basically everything and had no clear idea of what the perfect Sonic was, or what the best Sonic was particularly, or what was more accurate, or that kind of thing. I try to stay away from fan discourse as much as I possibly can. I'll poke fun of it every once in a while, but you're very rarely gonna ever catch me knee deep in discourse over something, because I completely get it. This fandom is so unbelievably splintered because there are so many different versions of this character. There is no one perfect way of loving Sonic nowadays, because even the source material, the source dimension as it were, has been handled and tackled by so many different artists, writers, directors, and game developers, that the modern Sonic that we know now is very different than the modern Sonic we started with during Sonic Adventure. And the classic Sonic we started off with way back when was splintered between the Japanese variation and the American variation, and then the UK came in with Sonic the Comic, and they had their own variation. So there's never really been one perfect way of loving this guy. So I completely get why we have so many, in fandom fights. We all came into this character at completely different points in our lives, and through completely different ways. I feel like it's healthy to have these discussions. It's healthy to have, even some of the discourse, so long as you're not, bullying people. So I just kind of want to tell a story that just kind of says, what, all of it is fine. At the very least, as far as you being able to love the version of Sonic you want to love, you're completely valid. At least I feel. It's, whatever take you have of Sonic is yours. And so long as you're, being fair and kind to others who don't necessarily share that same take, or do share that same take, I think, we as a fandom are incredible. You see, every time Sonic blows up because of a game or because of an announcement, he's always trending, like at the top of the charts, like all the time. Every time I see something big happen within this community, Sonic the Hedgehog is often the thing that's trending. And it's like, that's the power of this fandom, man. We tend to think that we're really small, and in some ways we can be, but I think overall there's so much love for this guy across multiple generations that, whenever something big happens, the world knows about it, and the world is gonna know about it because we're Sonic fans, dang it. So, I completely love this fandom, and I love this community, and this fan film is basically my love letter to this franchise and community because of that. I've connected with so many people. A lot of my teammates are my friends. Some of them, it feels like I should have known them forever. A bit long-winded, But I hope that's the answer you were hoping for. Thank you so much. Of course, we've got a question about whether or not we'll be utilizing elements from Netflix's Sonic Prime. Ooh, great question, YouTube commenter. Ooh. So we started production on this film way back in 2018. So this is way before we even knew Sonic Prime was being thought up. Obviously, with the knowledge of Prime's existence, we'll obviously be veering away from what the crew are doing as much as we can. But I am never opposed to making references. From what's been officially shared as of the making of this video, it seems as though they'll be taking their own original approach to tackling the multiverse, with little nods to past Sonic works here and there to further enhance their narrative. Whereas with villains, we'll be utilizing any and all pre-existing material, so very few straight-up original ideas for the sake of this film. So we definitely won't be doing what Prime is doing, but it's going to be very fun and funny seeing how both projects tackle similar inspirations and concepts. I wish everyone at Wild Brain the best of luck. I'm super excited to see what they've got up their sleeve. They got freaking Nicholas Cole on their crew for character design. So I'm super pumped. I have a question. Who is that green bird lady? That, my friends, is genius mechanic Techno the Canary, a main member of the Freedom Fighters for the Fleetway Sonic series. She'll be our second main protagonist for this film, but we're trying to keep her under wraps for right now. You'll see a lot more of her in Ask the Resistance and the next couple of trailers and previews that we'll be sharing. She's a relatively pretty popular character within that Fleetway fandom hemisphere. You know, her relationship and friendship with Amy has always been something the fandom has kind of joked about for a while, so there's lots of fan art of that in that regard. But she's a really, really cute and really fascinating character that we wanted to explore for this fan film as a way of hopefully introducing fans to her in the Fleetway universe. Reason being is that I absolutely love the Fleetway comics. I love how they handled their world building. It's very game accurate, but at the same time goes in so many very oddly British specific directions. It does its own thing while at the same time being so incredibly faithful. So it's just such a fascinating case study, and just looking up the history of kind of how, you know, the comics came to be and all the things they had to kind of fight for just to have any ounce of creative freedom. And Techno is the result of that. So I definitely want to tell her story in a way that, you know, hopefully fans of the Fleetway universe will really love and enjoy, but hopefully in a way too that'll get new fans. I know whenever Fleetway Sonic gets brought up, usually it's in response to how much of a jerk this iteration of Sonic is, and then the conversation just kind of stops there. Like, no, there's so much more beautiful merit to this comic. And to that point, Fleetway Sonic isn't even that much of a jerk when you really actually get to delve into why he is the way that he is. There's a lot of really deep and surprisingly emotional reasons for why he does what he does and why he acts the way that he acts. But sharing a couple pages of a comic on Twitter isn't exactly the best way of getting the proper context, so it leaves a lot of the fandom just kind of like completely disinterested, which I completely get. But again, I love that universe, and I want to share my love for that universe with the rest of the fandom. So if we can get some new Fleetway fans out of this fan film, that'll be an immense honor for me personally. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. You'll see more of her. She's great. Okay, for this next question, I need to give a big shout out to this particular individual for their absolutely wonderful comment on the 30th anniversary teaser, essentially breaking down and 100% completely understanding my thought process behind this film and why I feel it's so special. As an artist, I cannot tell you how gratifying it is to see people who just totally get what it is you're trying to say with your art, and I absolutely owe it to this individual to answer some of their questions for this video. So thank you so much. That comment made my day. You know who you are. So again, thank you. We already discussed some of the creative inspirations in a previous question, but I want to take the time to share some animation and visual inspirations for the overall look of this film. Like a good chunk of people worldwide, I've grown totally obsessed with the works of Flying Bark Productions, a small animation studio located in Australia. They're the ones responsible for the jaw-dropping, hard-hitting, anime-influenced animation for Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Lego Monkey Kid, Nickelodeon's Glitch Tex, and the upcoming Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur series, based on the Marvel comics by Amy Reeder and Brandon Montclair. As somebody who's been trying to develop his taste for anime over the years, their work is just endlessly glorious and awe-inspiring. The fact that such a team can deliver shows that not only move that beautifully, but also look just as beautiful too, no doubt because of the strong sense of art and animation direction over there, and the artists they bring on. That blend of Western and Eastern visual sensibilities has been continually gorgeous, and for my money, totally perfect for Sonic as a brand, given everything that we've discussed. So it just felt like a no-brainer, because their stuff, I mean, just look at it! Every step of the way with this project, they're always in the back of my mind. How can I get my stuff to look like the guys over at Flying Bark? How would they handle this? Luckily, some artists have actually come out and, in their free time, due to little challenges and such, they've done little Sonic animations, and some of them are Sonic fans, innately. Heck, you can even kind of see that in the shows themselves. Lots of little Sonic references dropped in here and there with the way characters move. So no doubt that's a total inspiration for the look of this film, and I hope that's incredibly apparent. It seems that way, because a lot of you have been saying that it reminds you so much of Rise and Monkey Kid and just the stuff that Flying Bark have been doing. And that's incredibly, incredibly honoring to hear that. So thank you so much for that. Continuing the train of anime influences, Studio Trigger and Studio Gainax. Studio Trigger and Studio Gainax.
Impossible, see the invisible. Row, fight the power. Punch the untouchable, break the unbreakable. Row, fight the power. What you gonna do is what you wanna do. Just break the rules, then you see the truth. This is the key, cheat, cool baby. Row, fight the power.
Further down that line, a lot of 80s and 90s anime. Just capturing that limited yet insanely expressive feel for a character like Sarah, who in essence is a perfect byproduct of that era of Japanese animation. That's been incredibly important. I've been utterly moved by the way a lot of Western cartoons have been colored nowadays. Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Star vs. the Forces of Evil. In terms of how light, shadow, and color are used in those shows to capture the mood and feeling of the moment and the environment, that's also been a big influence for a long, long time. Outside of those particular things, I'm just a big animation nerd, so I am endlessly inspired by any and everything that catches my eyes and heart. So I'm always inspired. And I think going into this film, that was one of the things I wanted to make sure I reminded myself of. Don't confine yourself to just a set of references or influences or creative inspirations. Let yourself be taken by everything that you consume. Let this project not only be a love letter to everything that I love about Sonic, but everything I love about creative media in general, everything I love about animation in general. That way, the inspiration can just continue to flow no matter what. And I think a lot of the times that's why a lot of fan projects tend to kind of fall by the wayside. With all due respect to anyone who has ever tried to start a fan project with the hopes of finishing it all the way to the end and just couldn't, for whatever the reason, I feel like at least one of the reasons why is the creative well dries up. And I think it's always good to continuously inspire yourself every single day you're working on something like this, because this is a big commitment, and I feel like a lot of people, we underestimate the amount of work that goes into something like this. This is a big commitment that can take years and years of work for any number of reasons. So I think so long as that, that creative drive stays strong, no matter what, I think you got something. It's certainly, I feel it's certainly part of why I've gone this long, and why I'm so adamant about. I don't see us leaving this unfinished. It just doesn't click with me. That idea that we'll leave this thing incomplete. Things might have to be cut, things might have to be shortened, maybe, but I think so long as you just enjoy the ride and let the art and love of this thing take you.
There is no circumstance that you can't handle.
So, yeah. How was the process of going through every corner of Sonic for this project? Pretty easy, actually. Back in my early Sonic years, most of my time in between waiting for the next game was scouring the internet for any bit of Sonic history or any bit of memorabilia I could find. The OVAs, the comics, watching tons of documentaries, those commercials. So a lot of that was retained in memory already, and it was just a matter of going back and looking at everything with a fresh lens. But as I was doing so, I was looking for things that stood out to me emotionally, maybe things that I may have always loved about the franchise, but the rest of the fandom maybe didn't, or story elements and plot points that I felt could be explored and turn into worthy story points. I was going back through all of this history looking for how to properly structure it into hopefully what could make a good film. So I had to go in with the mindset of a director, which at the start was incredibly stressful. But I think as time went on, I got to grips with what I was doing, and now it's incredibly fun. Who's been a favorite character to work on? Ooh, that's like trying to pick a favorite child. That's horrible. I think overall the most fun I've had with characters is entirely dependent on like how deeply we're able to develop them beyond what they're already known for. Techno is incredibly special to me in that regard because it's just been a crazy journey trying to flesh her out beyond what the comics give her. Same with Princess Elise. She's not particularly a large character within the film itself, but in supplementary material like the next Q&A and even some other stuff down the line, I'll say it's been like really fun exploring this character with a fresh lens in a new timeline separate from 06. I will say though that I feel the most innately fun character overall is Rosie the Rascal, the anti-Amy from the Archie comics. I love loose cannon characters like her, and she is top to bottom an endless joy to write for and to draw with how wild her expressions can get. I don't know, maybe I see myself in that a lot. I don't know. Never mind the fact that her actress Tia Ballard is untouchable as Rosie. So I know that anything I write in a script, Tia is going to make it gold and bring this little hedgehog to life in a way I would have never expected. And Tia herself is an absolute sweetheart of a friend and in person herself, and I'm just unbelievably happy she's the actor we chose. It's honestly crazy surreal. But yeah, they're all my babies. Cannot pick just one. If a character's got a crazy range of emotions, you've already won me over, basically. How has working on this fan film changed your life, if it has? Oh, it has in so many ways. And I mean, I guess I've talked about them a tad already, but just overall, this fan film is a dream come true. It's brought me to my dreams of working on animated productions with a handpicked team of amazing individuals, growing and becoming friends with a lot of them, and making what I would have thought impossible to make on my own years ago 110% possible. This whole experience is an absolute blessing to me, honestly, because the more I think about it, this is literally everything I've been trying to build up to, just in a bit of a different way than I would have initially expected. I guess to kind of elaborate a little further, I'll have to go back to kind of where I was at before Villains was even conceptualized. So in 2017 or so, I had just graduated from high school completely. I was incredibly excited because it felt like, all right, this is the time. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go to CalArts, California Institute of the Arts, for those who aren't aware. An incredibly prolific school founded by Walt Disney and Company a long time ago, housed some of the best people in animation today, like Craig McCracken, Pendleton Ward, Alex Hirsch, Darren Nefsey, so many other incredible animation folk that have created some of the best stuff that you know very well. I wanted to get into that school, so I went through the whole application process. I spent months building a portfolio of some of the best artwork I had ever put into a sketchbook. I sent it off, got recommendations from a few animation industry friends and teachers and mentors, waited a couple months, and I got rejected. Understandably, I get why I was rejected. In hindsight, that portfolio was pretty hastily put together. But when I got rejected, I was thankful for the experience, but it was a super depressing and deflating moment in my life. What it did for me, however, was make me realize I had a choice. I could either apply again, attend a more local general college I knew I wasn't going to be happiest in, or work on myself in my own time and look for creative avenues to take myself in right now. Ultimately, I've realized I've got a lot to work on with myself at the current moment. I couldn't drive, I had very little job experience, and I was emotionally exhausted. So I chose option C. Clearly the right decision was made. I started brainstorming the idea of a Sonic 25th anniversary animation in the car on my way to the mall with my folks. And, 3 to 4 years later, I'm still following what the deepest reaches of my heart is asking of me. I'll get myself over to California or Texas one of these days where animation thrives, but I'm building myself up to get to that point in a new way, and Villains is just about the best portfolio piece I could have ever dreamed of. And I've gotten to meet so many life-changing people in and out of the industry of animation and voice acting. Right now, I'm where I belong. I can feel it. How are you? Aw, that's so sweet for you to ask. How thoughtful. Thank you. I'm doing just fine. It can be hard sometimes, but I think, in this moment, the time of me recording this particular question anyway, I'm doing just fine. I honestly probably wouldn't be recording right now if I wasn't just fine. But, it's been up and down and all around for a lot of us this year. 2021 has been a booty kicker in a bunch of ways for me, but in honesty, I think I just chalked it up to the growing pains of becoming an adult in times like this pandemic. There's so many personal expectations you have for yourself, and even the ones that other people have for you, and nobody gives you a time frame for any of this stuff. I saw one post from somebody on Twitter a little bit ago say that it's a miracle that anybody can write or draw or animate anything in a year like 2021. But I honestly feel like if I couldn't do this, I'd be a much less happy man. It gives me so much joy in my heart to be able to do any of this amidst the trials of trying to, develop yourself and your friendships and your potential relationships and all of that. But it's not something I want to run away from either. And I don't think any of you listening out there should run away from your struggles either. No matter how you're feeling right now, I want you to know that the fact that you're breathing right now, here with me and every other beautiful person on this planet, is a gift. And it's a sign that you are winning at life right now. It gets tough. You can fail at a lot of things sometimes, but it is never the end for you. Amidst every failure is a chance to grow, and amidst every hardship is a chance to become the best version of yourself that you can be, which is a challenging process in itself, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it. I'm doing just fine, and I want to make sure the people around me are doing even more than just fine. I will protect myself and treat myself right, just as you should. Be proud of how far you've come this year, and keep that head held high for the greatness that awaits you in the next year, okay? You've got this. We've all got this. It's stuff that I just try to remind myself of, and I would be incredibly remiss if I didn't try to remind as many people as I can with this stuff too. You do have this. You are amazing. And you should be proud. You should really, truly be proud of yourself. that got a little emotional, but bottom line, I'm thankful for that. I'm really glad that, you asked that. I wanted to give you my most honest thoughts just in this moment. But thank you. What gave you the idea to highlight on the virus aspect of Sonic.exe? When it came down to considering potential fan-made characters for this film, Sonic.exe was the first thing that immediately came to mind. There were very brief thoughts of maybe asking Chakra X for his blessings on utilizing Nazo, but the more the story was thought out, and the more it felt like that'd be just too much of a stretch. Chakra himself is already chipping away at the wrath of Nazo, and I would hate to feel like I was, stepping on his toes regarding his fan character's inclusion. And Sonic.exe had been a staple of internet and Sonic culture for a long time already. And as a creepypasta lover myself at the time, it just seemed like it made more sense. But when thinking about how to incorporate him, I knew the only way for his inclusion to be taken even remotely seriously within this context would be if I integrated him in a way that felt somewhat natural, quote unquote, for a Sonic character. By which I mean asking myself, okay, if Sonic.exe were an official character within the modern Sonic mythos, how would he be integrated? By then it just made sense to think of this antagonistic interpretation of Sonic as a creation of Eggman himself, at least to some degree, rather than him straight up just being a demon summoned through any overly religious or ritualistic means that wouldn't fit right at home with any typical Sonic story anyway. Basically, the idea was for him to feel less like fanfiction and more of a legitimate creation under a Sega Sonic context. And him simply being an executable file, it just felt personally right to me. And that's not a knock on anyone else's interpretation of the character either. There have been so many incredible pieces of fan work spawned from this character's existence over the years. It feels like everyone's got a taste of the Sonic.exe pie nowadays. Everybody's got their own interpretation of this character, which I think is beautiful. A testament to the novelty and simplicity of this character's initial concept. Shout out to the amazing artist Code Trilogy, who's created some absolutely fantastic pieces of fan art depicting all the different variations of .exe, including our own. I'm immensely happy to see that so many of you guys have been loving our take on this guy. It's been so wonderful and sweet to see. So thank you so much to anyone who's made any fan art involving our take. I'm just happy to be amongst the multiverse of Eldritch Sonic creations out there.
And with that last question, it's a wrap for now.
Thank you tons to everyone for submitting an ask for this FAQ. This video has been a long time coming. It was originally intended to be the next video directly after the 30th anniversary teaser, but as I've learned through my journey of making this film, burnout is real, and you've got to pace yourself comfortably if you want to progress properly. So I had to put it on hold. I wasn't able to get to everybody who asked something, but rest assured, I'll probably be doing another one of these soon, or I'll likely just answer the questions individually somehow on my own time. The hugest of shoutouts to the voice of Sarah the Cat Girl, pianist, graphic designer, and my amazing and incredible friend Sydney Page of Bloomin88 for this beautiful Sonic Generations Persona 5 inspired graphic layout for this video, as well as providing Sarah's voice for the teensy animation at the beginning of the video. Sydney has to be one of the greatest people I've ever known, a killer actress, a source of endless support throughout this film's journey from the very start, and one of the best friends I've ever had through and through. An absolutely incredible human being. Please follow her and every one of my team's socials. Links will be in the description. I'll be slowly but surely putting together a documentary of our behind the scenes shenanigans on the movie. We've got some really fun recording snippets and goofs I'd love to share more of.
Okay, but Sonic, your voice is fine. It's just like this Sarah character. It doesn't even sound. It's not even me. I'm not that whiny and tantremy.
The nerve of these guys.
Gee whiz.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think they do an excellent job with me.
Eggman, you sound great. You sound great.
Thank you. I sound great no matter what. They got Jim Carrey to play me, so clearly they know what they're doing.
I don't even know what to say.
That's when you know it's perfection, baby. That's when you know it's perfection.
I was wondering if we should either make it a documentary series or just one huge collection of everything when it's all said and done. What do you guys prefer, a small episodic docuseries or a full piece? I'll leave that up to all of you. We've got a lot of really fun stuff planned for you guys down the pike as we continue our film development journey into next year. Our Ask the Resistance Q&A will be a fun interactive sequel to our Ask the Eggman Empire event, this time focusing on the heroes and acting as a look into the world of the film outside of the main plot. Tons of fun bits of lore and character exploration will be seen through that one, and I'm really excited to get that going for you guys early 2022. Of course, we're always on the search for talent to join our team. You can check out when we're on the search for new teammates on our YouTube channel's community tab, as well as our Twitter page. Be sure to also look out for the fan-made Sonic Villains event Ask the Execution Squad, an original character-focused Q&A spearheaded by the fantastic artist Cheesy Weezy, acting as an extension of his Sonic Villains Multiverse project, where any fans of Sonic Villains can draw their OCs as either villains or heroes of the Sonic Multiverse using these profile picture templates from our website. If you guys decide to draw your OCs in this style, please be sure to tag us at Sonic Villains. I'd love to see it. I'll be making a video compiling all the submissions we currently have at a later date. Until then, thank you all so much. Have a Merry Christmas
And a happy eggnog!